that they can be answered in a timely manner. I have moved this item and Councillor Fletcher has seconded it. I'll now take it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried, and thank you. Now, at the risk of being barking mad, she says, trying to make a joke, let's try and deliver item 9 before lunch. So, in doing so, I'd like to acknowledge Hokura member Glenn Wilcox. Glenn, please come to the table, who has sat on every hearings panel since the beginning of the Super City. I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Bartley. You've done an amazing job, Councillor, of getting this item back to us after going out and talking to the local community and the local board. Well done to you and the team for negotiating what I think is a sensible compromise. Councillor Bartley, I'll ask you to move this and speak to it and open the item first, if that's all right with you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillors, Deputy Mayor, you'll recall on the 26th of June, when in the governing body meeting, we agreed for a working group to be set up to look at Te Arai Regional Park dog access. The working group met 19 July and they provided 4 recommendations, of which we as a panel accepted 3 of them. The first one being allowing for dog access within the Te Arai South Recreation Hub Special Management Zone, and once an inland area is affirmed and operational. The second one being allowing for removal of dog access from the quarry once the inland area is operational, and the third one being clear communications and signage. I do want to acknowledge the working group members and also Councillor Sayers and local board member Upson. Also want to acknowledge our panel, Councillor Alfilipaina and Hokura member Glenn Wilcox, and also the staff. I believe we've found a compromise that means we follow our obligations under the Dog Control Act to formulate policy having regard to the need to minimise danger, distress and nuisance to the community, as well as the exercise and recreational needs of dogs and their owners. So I acknowledge Jane Andrews, Dr. Imogen Bassett, Jason McGuinness, Kylie Hill has worked extensively on this, and Paul Wilson, Dana Lee, long hours that they've put into this, and I appreciate and acknowledge their commitment. Julie McKee, Marlene Oliver, the facilitator, and Chris McAvoy, my senior advisor. So I believe we found a compromise, and I acknowledge the staff for their work in making this happen.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'll pass to my panel members if they have anything they want to add, if that's all right, please.
All right, so what we'll do is, thank you, Councillor, for that intro. I'll pass it now to Hokura member Wilcox and then go to staff. Thank you.
Yes, first of all, I'd just like to mihi to Greg, because if Greg hadn't have said anything, we most probably wouldn't have found this compromise and it would have all fallen apart. So, and mihi to you, Greg, and also for fixing up Ahuroa Road. I just thought I'd put that in. So, yeah, so I think as Councillor Bartley has said, you know, the regional park was mentioned in our park management plan that there was a thought that perhaps this could be the dog area. So it really just needs the funding and the wherewithal to make it happen. And I'd say to the councillors, one of the things I think in my 15 years with this council now has been, I feel sometimes we've kind of forgotten about the regional parks, and they do need funding and they do need to be looked after. I think it's a great legacy from earlier times, and I think that should be just pointed out. But this is a win-win situation for all of the dog owners, as well as for those who didn't want the dogs there, but also for biosecurity. I think we've covered off the process quite well. Again, as Josephine said, I'd like to just thank Mihiana Kia Korua, Josephine, Alf, mo tō awhina, mo tō tautoko, and also to the staff, Paul, Kylie, Jason from Parks, Imogen from Biosecurity, you know, a mihi to them as well. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you. I'll hand back to Councillor.
Kia ora hea mana. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and very briefly, just to echo the, excuse me, just to echo the comments from the chair, and if I was in your area, Greg, I'll be voting for you, just to let you know that. And the reason I say that, Greg, is because at that last governing body meeting, if it wasn't for you, as our rangatira said, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't now be in the situation that we are now, that allowed that working group to end up deciding. I want to acknowledge our staff, obviously, but Greg, you, our people who submitted in the original bylaw that was put through, again, the working group, Jason in particular. And the reason I acknowledge Jason is because if it wasn't for his suggestion at a working group hui that they had, we wouldn't be in this position where I think it's a very good position. Josephine, to you for Taitele Lava, thank you so much, sis, because your work and the partai leading the bylaw, the panel, the hearings panel, was integral in not only the meeting we had last governing body, but this particular meeting as well in regards to your leadership. E te rangatira ki a koe ngā mihi ki a koe mō tō mahi, mō tō aroha, whakaro, ngā mihi ki a koe. I just wanted to acknowledge Glenn for his, not only his love, but his work and his input in regards to this. So, Chair, I'm glad that Councillor Sayers, Greg, that you'll second this, because if it wasn't for your work, we wouldn't be in that position. Kia ora.
Kia ora, and thank you for that. Now, I mean, it's really all been said, but I'm very happy for you to add anything more if you would like.
Through the chair, no, nothing further to add.
Thank you for that. Have we got any questions? Any debate? Councillor Sayers.
I think it's appropriate that I make some comments through you, Chair. One being, so the kind words from the panel, so thank you for that. But I guess my mandate really came from that community. So it's certainly probably a lot of the ideas, a lot of the energy came from that community. So I just want to reflect those kind thoughts and perhaps pass those good wishes back onto that community. Also just the governing body members, my colleagues around the table here, you may remember when we had to decide on this bylaw, but it was through your support of voting that went back to a working party. So I want to acknowledge, you know, each person around this table, because you actually voted to make that happen, and it was the right thing to do. One of the things that we discovered the night before we met for that hui with the working group was that the beach that we were about to pass a bylaw on a few weeks beforehand was not under council's control. You might have read in the papers it was actually DOC controlled that land. So we couldn't pass a bylaw around that, but we only found that out in the 11th hour. So again, you know, there was some good fortune, in fact, that we dealt more deeply into it. That just raises a message which I know staff have taken on, that are other regional parks in the situation where we've got bylaws on DOC land, and I understand that work's underway and will be returning to us at some future date next term, which is important. So that was also another a positive that came out of it. I think, you know, all in all, as Councillor Bartley pointed out, the wishes of that working group have been met. There will still be disappointment that people can't get their dogs onto a beach to walk along that beach, but that is actually not council's concern, as we found out now. If that does occur, that policing and compliance issues rest with DOC. What we will end up is actually a facility for dog owners. If this opportunity had gone past, and with increasing residents in that area, they would be having to go outside of Auckland to exercise their dogs. Here we've got an opportunity where they can stay local, exercise their dogs. There'll be an opportunity for them to walk them before Christmas on a leash through with its own parking facilities through the forestry area there, and their dogs and themselves can enjoy that and get the exercise. In addition, and I don't want, like a cherry on the top, is the ability for them probably in about a 12-month period. That hasn't been defined exactly, but there'll be an opportunity for a off-leash facility. Now they'll have to go through a process as it has to, and go through all the hurdles to get there. And if it passes out, I think the funding's already there for that to be implemented anyway. So that's all very, very positive. I just really want to close through you, Chair, acknowledging the people around this table when I was able to bring forward on behalf of my community their concern and the way you listened and the way that you gave that opportunity for this to occur. So I want to tip my hat to all of you and thank you on behalf of that community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. With no further speakers, I'm happy to take this to the vote. It's been moved by Councillor Bartley, seconded by Councillor Sayers. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried unanimously. And another positive item has finished on the agenda, so therefore I think I'll reward you all with half an hour for lunch. So we will come back at 1:15. Thank you very much.